Hello everyone, I'm Michael Weber. I'm the Vice President of Properties for the Bay Lakes Council. I think you've seen me before doing some update videos here, and I'm joined again by a very familiar face, Jason Wolf, our Scouting Executive. And we're here just to provide you with an update on the Growing Future Leaders effort. It's been a long time since we've provided an update, and so we want to bring you up to speed on all kinds of new things that are happening on the project. So, Jason, one of the things we've been talking about is the fact that it's been a long time and we need to do a better job of communication, right?
Oh, absolutely. As Growing Future Leaders is now, there was a starting point with Imagine 2024, and a lot of great work was going on, and we kind of hit pause to be more strategic and to just step back and look at where everything was going. And in that pause that we took, one of the things that I will say that we failed to do was to make sure that we were telling the story of where we were at and not letting the story be told.
Right. So a commitment from this point forward, this video will help bring you up to speed, but we'll try to work in other features within the website to provide you with updates, as well as reaching out to you in other means to ensure that everyone has a good update.
Absolutely.
You mentioned Imagine 2024, and I've gotten a lot of questions as to whether or not that we don't hear about that anymore, and we call it Growing Future Leaders, but really nothing's changed. We're just evolving the plan, right? So Growing Future Leaders is the next evolution as we move forward from the dreaming phase, the imagine phase of Imagine 2024, to now really putting some solid plans in place and having a master plan that we can go off to move ourselves forward.
Exactly.
So one of the exciting things that has happened in the time since we provided the last formal update is a great partnership with Myron Construction. Can you help us understand a little bit as to how that formulated and where it's leading us?
Well, as we took that, we hit the pause button to step back and look at things, we quickly recognized that we needed a partner to help us bring together all of these ideas that have been gathered from our scouting community, our community in general, and other folks that are interested in helping moving scouting forward. And the partner that came alongside of us was Myron Construction.
Yeah.
And they spent, we have spent with them over 14 months, I believe, of boots on the ground, physical examination of every piece of our property. Their team leads have joined us.
Yeah, it's been great. They've been out at our camp properties throughout the council, both in the winter. I remember one event where they were actually being pulled behind a snowmobile at Hiawatha, checking out the camp, and then they returned back during our residence camp operations and really got a feel for how our residence camp functions. And they met with leaders and the scouts and the staff members just to really understand the experience of using our camp properties, and that's a huge part of what Myron does, is that experience.
Absolutely, and the two leads, Craig Sachs and Steve Tank, are the guys that are working with us, but they're also scouters.
Right.
They camp there as youth and or with their sons in our scouting program and are fully committed to making sure that this project is not just a project for today, but a project for the next 10, 20, 30 years.
Yeah, it's been a great partnership. So, talking to some of the other customers that we have throughout the council, they've been concerned because they haven't heard things, and so then all these rumors fly, right? So, what's happening is the project on hold? Is there issues with getting permits with the DNR, and they're shutting us down? And happily, none of that is true, but certainly understandable that when you don't hear things, sometimes rumors fly. And so I guess you and I can clarify things today and say nothing big is standing in the way of our progress. We've actually gotten the permits that we've pursued, and we continue to move forward with this master plan.
Right, and I think one of the things that we've learned is getting a permit is not just
No.
dropping off a piece of paper and getting it back that day or the next day.
Right.
It takes several weeks, and in fact, a couple months.
Yeah, And there's wetlands to worry about that don't necessarily look like wetlands, and there's endangered species that you didn't even know were on the forest floor that we have to make accommodations for. So all of that has created, you know, a lot of work, but we continue to make progress, so that's a good thing. Another question that I often hear is, you know, it was early on in the project, to our surprise, that we actually sold our 2 camp properties. And so the question is, well, do you guys still have the money from that, or did you burn it away doing something, you know, unrelated to the project? And, you know, I think the council took a very responsible approach when the properties were sold in investing that money. So 50% of the sales immediately went to long-term capital expenditures. 35% went into a fund where we could do some more immediate capital improvements, and we've done those capital improvements. And then we're spending a little bit of money, about 10% of the sales, on organizing our capital campaign, which we're going to be moving forward with. So next steps. We've got a couple of exciting next steps. Do you want to share with us what the board just approved in December?
Well, absolutely, and I think I'll take one step further back, and with our partnership with Myron and the collection of all these great ideas, we have a list of, I think it's over 120 different major items and projects that we want to do to improve our camp properties all across the council. And we formulated that into some different phases and some different priorities through the guidance of our board and the guidance of Myron.
Yeah, the amazing thing, just to touch on that, is I was just looking at the list yesterday again as we were doing some meetings to help prioritize, and really when you look at the list and you go through things, you know, you can be all the way at the bottom of the list of priorities and you still look at the items and say, yeah, we really should do that too, and wow, that would be cool too. So I mean, it's a long list, but it's an exciting list of things that will really make the camping experience and the scouting experience overall really improve.
Absolutely, and it's not just about the experience that happens 3 months during the summer, it's about the experience that we will now be able to provide at a higher level all 12 months of the year.
Right. One of the things we've talked about is you know, what kicked off this project, one of the major factors was making sure that we had a sustainable council, financially especially, because all over the country we've been seeing that councils are actually going bankrupt because they're trying to support you know, properties and things that are bleeding money from the council. Luckily, we haven't been in that position, but we're really trying to make sure that we position ourselves in such a way that we continue to be sustainable. So to your point, a lot of the projects that we're looking at not only make the residence camp season a really incredible experience for the scouts and the leaders, but we have an opportunity to generate revenue in the off season from not just scouting on the weekends, but there's a lot of companies I've been surprised that have, you know, shown interest in staying at our camp properties during the weekdays, when a lot of times in, you know, September, October, when all the kids are at school, our camp properties sit idle. And so we have companies that want to come there for retreats, use our great facilities, and so as we develop this plan, we're actually working some of that into it as well.
Recently, we were able to have a meeting with our board, and we shared with them the master plan of all of these ideas and where we wanted to go. And 2 things rose to the top of that list of, we need to make these our cornerstone projects to have them happen now.
Right.
And one of those projects was, we've made a promise, we're gonna keep the promise, we are building a new Webelos camp.
Absolutely. Yeah, there's a, you know, and understandably so, when we said we were selling Twin Lakes, the spot where we have one of the most successful residence camp programs, the Webelos Camp Program, there was a lot of angst, and rightly so. But you're right, the commitment was that by selling Twin Lakes, we were going to build a new Webelos camp, and it's great.
Are we still gonna build a new Webelos
We
camp?
absolutely are, to your point. The board has made the official decision to support the funding for that Webelos camp. So the money is there today. There's no fundraising that needs to be done. The money is set aside for that Webelos camp, and it has been approved by the board. So it's just some details that need to be worked out as to what how that formulates and how we move forward with it, but it's there, it's happening, and we're moving forward
So
with it.
the dollars that were gained in the very quick sale of our
Yeah.
camps has been put aside,
Yes,
has been used for some improvements along the way,
Yep.
has been invested, and those dollars are now being directed to help us build a brand new Weebles camp.
Correct.
I couldn't be more excited about
yeah,
providing that experience to those young people on their scouting trail.
Yep.
Now, the other cornerstone project that the board approved was,
a welcome center.
what in the heck is a welcome center?
This
Mike?
is a tough one to explain sometimes to people because you think of scouting and you think of the program areas and, how do we make the program areas better? So why would we want to build a welcome center? This welcome center is going to be situated at Camp Rocolio, which is really, if you think about it, the entry to scouting for most of our youth. You start out by camping at Camp Rocolio, and that's where you get your first experience. And that's where our parents get their first experience and exposure to what is my son or daughter going to be doing in this program, right? So this welcome center is the place where you'll enter that camp, but you'll also enter scouting. And it's going to be a great opportunity for us to showcase what scouting is. We'll have a museum there, so we've got some great historical artifacts from our council that go all the way back. I don't even know the year, but they go back quite a ways. And so we can display those there in a museum setting, have some nice program space that can be used all year round. But it really helps during the residence camp season to facilitate that check-in process, get people into the camp. They can see the history of what the Bay Lakes Council has to offer, and really welcome them into the scouting family.
Yeah, it's gonna be a phenomenal project for the first experience of our new families and our current families, especially in the Cub Scouting program.
Yeah.
As they step out of their car and they step into our welcome center, where the pages of the scouting handbook start to come to life.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. So just kind of conceptually or visually, I mean, it's a grand building. You walk in and there's a fireplace and a nice view of the woods and Camp Rocolio behind. But it also serves some utility purpose as well. We're talking about the health lodge being there, or the health facilities. Some apartments for the camp master and the health officer that can stay in that building, and that can be the place where if someone comes late at night and needs to get into the camp, there's somebody there that can be awoken and help them to find what they need to at the camp. So.
And through the design of this experience of the Welcome Center,
Yeah.
it is focused on those 3 months of operation during the summer, but the other 9 months of the year, the things that we have designed is that it can be a multi-use facility with a space for conferences and other meetings, gatherings, etc. It's going to be a phenomenal space to continue to tell the story of scouting outside of those 3 months, so all 12 months of the year. It will be open, functioning, and will be the welcoming structure and experience to our outdoor program for the Bay Lakes Council.
Right. One more thing I wanted to touch on with that, and we mentioned our partnership with Myron, and one of the things that Myron really focuses on is customer experience. When they help their commercial customers build a hospital or a school, they're looking at what is the customer experience before they put any bricks and mortar on the ground. And one of the things that, a great example of that is, we have heard loud and clear that leaders love to be leaders, but they also have a day job. And it's really difficult for them to spend a whole week at camp or 4 days at camp. If we could only have a spot where we could retreat to for maybe an hour a day and just check in on work and get a reliable Wi-Fi connection to do that. And so we've heard you loud and clear, and so part of the Welcome Center is also going to have what we're calling a Leaders Lounge. Where we'll have a reliable Wi-Fi connection for the leaders to go. They can get away from the kids for a bit and pull out their laptop or whatever and catch up on work, so that you can really get back to what you love doing, and that is being a leader at a Bay Lakes Council camp. So
This sounds exciting.
yeah, and the timing of it. So when are we
Timing,
building this?
Well, the plan is that this summer at Camp Rocolio, Probably June, I believe, is our target date, that we'll have a groundbreaking.
Yeah, and at that groundbreaking, if you can make it, and we'll publicize when it's going to be. We've got some great donors who have really shown interest in this Welcome Center and have contributed to making this Welcome Center happen. And hopefully the plan is that they'll be there as well to help break the ground for us.
Absolutely, and while we are continuing to fund these projects, the board also approved funding to support the Welcome Center, along with the support of these donors.
Yeah.
And so that's moving ahead.
Yep.
These two projects are happening. The funding for all of this will continue to happen. And what about the rest of the list?
Yeah, so the rest of the list right now, and these are the steps that we're working on real hard, is to look at the rest and prioritize it. We need to figure out what makes sense to tackle first, second, third, right? And like you said, it's a long list, so we need to make sure that we're being smart about how we tackle this. And then to fund all of those projects, we've been working with the National Office of the Boy Scouts of America to help formulate a more formal campaign to raise money for the additional projects. And that's under the name of Growing Future Leaders.
And I really want people to know, Mike, that as our group is prioritizing these projects, it does come with some tough decisions.
Oh, yeah.
And, are we going to do this project first or the next project? And the responsibility that we have as the leaders of the Bay Lakes Council is not being taken lightly.
Mm-hmm.
We are being very strategic and purposeful in how all of these decisions are made as we step forward to create this awesome environment where the Bay Lakes Council camps will be a destination for central United States.
Right. Yeah. And in that prioritization, it's a balance between how can we deliver the best program to draw people from throughout our region, as well as how do we ensure that we're taking care of the capital assets that we have today. And that's another thing to remember, is that we made a decision a few years back to say we're not going to get ourselves in this financial constraint again. When we make capital investments, we are going to do the responsible thing and put 15% of the value of that capital investment aside for future maintenance. So as we build this Welcome Center, as we build this Webelos camp, 15% of the value of it is being put into a long-term fund where we can pay for ongoing maintenance of that. So.
Right, and when we do these things, they're gonna be sustainable.
Yeah.
And some of the decisions that we will be making are not about what's happening in the next week or 2 months or the next year. We are focused on the next 15 to 20 to 30 years of where we see our program going and how it will build and serve our customers to create a phenomenal outdoor experience.
Yeah, right. So we've covered a lot today. I hope that it's been helpful to everyone to at least update you on where we're at with the Growing Future Leaders efforts. One of the things I think that's most important, we've recognized that we need to communicate better. But also, as I talk to people throughout the council, they ask me questions that they've been holding on to for a long time. And I just want to remind everyone that if you have questions, there's really a couple avenues that you can take. One is we have an email address on the website that's monitored and we answer. So if you have questions relative to Growing Future Leaders, things that you've heard, rumors that come up, shoot us an email so we can help clarify some of those things. And then also they can call the Scout office, right? And they can ask for Jason Wolf or Brent Bauman, and they can help to direct your call and your questions as well.
Yes.
So future updates will be coming. We appreciate you taking the time today to help understand where we're at with the project, and it's really exciting times and some great projects that are being kicked off here with the Webelos Camp and the Welcome Center at Rocalia.